Nice. Wow. Jin killed it there. That was awesome. And he does it on a total straight tone. So no vibrato, no, it's like very, very punchy pop.
Run, run, lost boy, they say to me.
If you're interested in getting 10% off all your favorite BTS swag, check out the link down below. Alright, so there we have a mix of not just falsettos, there was a lot of full voice, really high notes there. I think that most of them were coming from Jin, if I'm not mistaken, but all of those sounded really, really good in a live setting. That's really awesome. Wow, did you just hear Jimin's high note? So there, what he was doing was he was using a lot of airflow to get into that high note. So if you listen... So if you listen there, he's doing that high note with a lot of air. So you can have a high note with a lot of compression, or you can have a high note with a lot of airflow. Here his focus is much more on airflow as he does it. So you could definitely approach that note. I mean, what note is that? That's like a ridiculously high note. Let's see. Yeah, that's an A5. That's a ridiculously high note. So you can approach that note from more of a compressed point. It's going to be very hard for a male singer to approach that compressed, but it's definitely within the realm of possibility. But Jimin there approaches it with way more airflow, getting the vocal cords to open up a little bit more into like kind of a falsetto high note there. So there was an example of Jungkook coming in with a little bit more compressed high notes here. Just with a little bit more compression on it. Nice, that was a beautiful... It was a really nice falsetto, totally released. And I love that run. That line is awesome. By the way, if you guys are interested in learning how to sing, learning a little bit more detail, check out this card right here that I'm going to leave. There you can get a free lesson on my website. Check it out. There you could hear, a little bit of the human element coming in, finding that end part of that. So he started because he was up in his high falsetto. If you bring falsetto down too low, sometimes it can get mushy and very hard to find the pitches you're trying to hit. So I think he was trying to go somewhere around there. But it ended up coming up sharp because his voice was still in that falsetto tone. You hear that? How it stayed high and he couldn't get back into, like even through trying to get into his chest voice. He needs to pick up more of that chest voice power before he'd be able to get in there. Nice. Wow. Jin killed it there. That was awesome. And he does it on a total straight tone, so no vibrato, no, it's like very, very punchy pop approach to it. It's not with any sort of classical feel at all. So both Jimin and Jin sounded really good there. Jimin was using a little bit more compression. So that's way more compression on his voice than was before. So what he's doing is he's getting his vocal cords to close just a little bit more. It's the difference between, and this is kind of where it gets to a comparison between falsetto and head voice or full voice, where you get like a ah versus an ah. Can you hear the difference? Ah, ah. One, my vocal cords are closing around the airflow that's coming through. The other one, my vocal cords are staying open all the way, and it's just kind of vibrating around a gap of air between the vocal cords. So that's the difference between falsetto and head voice. And if you're learning to sing, this is a really, really important point to be able to differentiate, because it's going to kind of guide the way that you approach things stylistically. And so there you could hear Jin was flipping from his full voice, where you could hear there's much more chord compression, the vocal cords pushing together much more, versus totally releasing on the finding a lot more of that falsetto release. Oh, I love that. I love V's high note in this one. That's awesome. Yeah, this one is Stigma. I love V's high note in Stigma because it's more than just him hitting the high note. He's also changing from falsetto to more of a connected sound. So if you listen again. It's actually, it would be a great exercise to work with. So what he's doing is going from a falsetto to then opening up with more of a connected sound on that. So falsetto, much more connected. It seems that they prefer a lot of the more open, wide open vowels when they're going for those high notes. And it makes sense because we want to shorten the vocal tract when we're going that high in our range. And just logically that makes sense because a higher pitch requires less space, whereas lower pitches are going to require more space for the sound to resonate and to become that lower tone. They do an incredible job of that. So that was that. I mean, it wasn't one of the super, high notes, but Jungkook's high notes there are totally full voice there. So if that... So if that was falsetto, right, that would be full falsetto. But if you listen here, he's in more of a head voice tone. He's leaning into a little bit more compression. I don't know the word, but that's kind of what he's doing as opposed to which would be much more falsetto. That was awesome. Wow. Do you see how little effort that took Jungkook to hit? It was almost like he was just like doing nothing as he was singing that note. So by and large, generally we want to try to open up wider as we go for higher notes. We don't want the mouth to stay too closed. But there he really nailed it with the closed mouth. Let's listen again. And so the way that he does that is with a lot more nasality. Instead of going ta, ta, that would be way too mouth heavy. You would never hit it. Ta. He's finding that pitch with a little bit more nasal resonance happening there. And so when you're trying to sing this, try to focus on making sure that you don't lean too much towards the mouth. And that was something that I struggled with a lot because my voice was just very heavy naturally, and focusing on those lower harmonics was where my ear kind of tended towards. And so it was very hard to get out of that cycle of being stuck in that lower mouth heavy range. You need to kind of bring it up and bring it a little bit more nasally and potentially get into a sound that you're not so interested in sounding like. You need to get a little into this kind of kid voice here. Oh, nice. So you actually pulled that off without actually going too wide on that vowel. That was actually impressive. It's not always so easy to find that release when your face is staying relaxed up that high. Nice. That was a long held out note. That is not easy to do. You have to have a lot of abdominal support. So you have to get your abs to be involved in the process in order to sustain that long of a note. I love how Jin has headphones with his name on it. It's my dream one day. So if you guys like this video, please check out part 2, I know you're going to like it too.